Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin Peters. I hope that you and your family are doing well today. I want to thank you very much for watching this video and the next two installments of this series. I have as my guest Mr. Jim Osman. Jim Osman is one of my dearest friends, and he is the pastor of Kootenai Community Church here in Sandpoint, Idaho, and we are in the sanctuary of Kootenai Community Church. Some of you may have seen some of the other videos that Jim and I did together talking about spiritual warfare. Jim wrote a book entitled Truth or Territory, A Biblical Approach to Spiritual Warfare. And he has now written another book entitled God Doesn't Whisper. So Jim, first of all, let me shake your hand and welcome you to the...
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. Yeah. It's always a pleasure whenever we can do something together.
It is. It really is. I'm looking forward to this. And I tell you, I am really excited about your book, God Doesn't Whisper. Jim was gracious enough to allow me to read an advance copy of it, and I wrote an endorsement for it. And Jim, tell us about the book. Tell us, first of all, just a little bit about yourself, and then go into the book.
Yeah, for those who may not know, I pastor a small church in rural North Idaho, up just outside of Sandpoint, near the Canadian border. And we were privileged to have Justin and Kathy be members here and active in our church for a number of years, 8 years?
Yeah,
about 8 years. Before he moved off into the wilderness of Montana. And now he's decided to spend 40 years wandering around in the Montana wilderness before what? You enter into the promised land? I don't know.
Yeah, it probably won't be too long for me, actually, but go ahead.
So anyway, Justin and I have been friends since 2009, and we've had the privilege of working together on a number of projects and venues, and so it's a joy to be back with him and to work again with this project, on this project with Justin.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you have, if you are anything like me, you have probably heard from the vast, almost unchallenged teaching, a vast majority of the evangelical world, that as Christians, we are supposed to be hearing the voice of God. And I have said before that the bookshelves practically sag under the weight of all of the different books out there that are written to help you know how to hear and listen for and discern the voice of God. How do we know when God is speaking to us? Follow these techniques, follow these steps to hear the voice of God. And Jim, your book is very counterintuitive to that almost unchallenged notion in the evangelical world that we are supposed to be hearing God's voice on a regular basis. So tell us about what this book is about, generally speaking, and how did you become interested in this issue? Well,
the title of the book is God Doesn't Whisper, and what I am challenging is the notion that's prominent within evangelicalism that we need to be listening for the still small voice of God, that we need to be paying attention to promptings and nudgings and impressions and intuitions and hunches that we might have, looking for signs that God might drop along our way, as if we are supposed to go through life trying to read the tea leaves, follow the breadcrumbs, discern the voice of God in our surroundings, in our circumstances, in open and closed doors, and most significantly, most dangerously, inside of our own intuitions, feelings, nudgings, and promptings that we might sense inside of our brain or inside of our heart. So I'm challenging that notion, and basically I'm saying that God doesn't whisper. He doesn't try to be heard. He doesn't try to communicate. He speaks, and when he speaks in Scripture, he speaks loudly, clearly, and understandably, because he expects those to whom he is speaking to be obedient to what he has said. So I'm not suggesting that God doesn't speak to us through undiscernible whispers or even in whispers. I'm saying that God has spoken to us in his word, and that all of these other methodologies are patently unbiblical, and the assumptions behind them are patently unbiblical. So that's the gist of the book.
Okay.
And how did I get interested in it?
Yeah,
the book itself is actually, this is the case with a lot of stuff that I end up writing. It ends up becoming a mea culpa for things I believed in the past. So with spiritual warfare, for instance, I critiqued a method and a view of spiritual warfare that I once held dear when I was in Bible college. And the same thing is true with this theology, with what I've designated HVG theology, hearing the voice of God theology. And I once believed, because I was taught this, and actually just I assumed that this was true when I was in Bible college, I once believed that we needed to listen for the whispers of God. And this was what I had heard from the student body around me, and even sometimes select teachers at the Bible college that I attended in Canada, that's how we heard God, was to pick up the whispers, the signs that he was dropping down. So it kind of came, this whole theology came to a crisis for me. At the end of my first year of Bible college, I faced a decision that I needed to make on whether to come back for a second year or whether I needed to leave after 1 year at Bible college and return back home here to Sandpoint and pursue a job in a secular career. And I had a strong desire to study theology. I had a strong desire to learn more about God and learn more about Scripture at the end of that first year. I really wanted to come back. But as I would talk with other students in the student body who were also making the same decision, they would use phrases like, the Lord just told me that I was supposed to come back to Bible college, or the Lord laid it upon my heart, or and I heard the still small voice, or I have a peace with returning, or God has opened the door for me to come, or I put out a fleece and God has revealed through the fleece that I'm supposed to come back. They seem to be receiving these signs and these impressions, these nudgings on a regular basis with frequency and with clarity that I didn't have. And so I thought maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm just not mature enough to discern the signs. Maybe I'm not discerning enough to see what is the hand of God. Maybe I'm not equipped enough or able to really hear his voice or figure out when he's speaking to me and when he's not. So I wrestled with this and I prayed for the Lord to give me some insight, some vision, some dream, some sign, something that would help me to make that decision. Should I stay or should I go?